Hey YouTube, this is Michael with Uncoded Lifestyle and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a video on hooks in React Native. So basically, what is hooks? Hooks is basically a way to control and manipulate state in a functional component. Before hooks, you could only do it in a class-based component, but now with the use of hooks, you can do it in a functional component. So the versions that this is, you're able to use hooks in React Native. The version is 0.59. Any version before that, you're not able to use it. So any version 0.59 or higher, you should be able to use hooks with no problem. So as you can see, I have already created the project. I'm using Expo, by the way. So if you're not familiar, it's just basically you need to make sure you have Expo installed globally on your computer, and then you just run Expo init, the name of your project, and it'll go ahead and set everything up for you. So I went ahead and set up the project, and I have basically it's just going to be just like the tutorial. It's just a counter value that we're going to use, and we're going to just be able to press this button to update the counter. So that's all we're doing here. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and implement this. This is the first video of a series, so this first one is just basically just going to give you an introduction, and then we'll get more into detail about hooks and other aspects of hooks, other hooks as well. So let's get started. So to go ahead and use state in a functional component, we're going to use state. So this is one of the hooks that you'll use to be able to initialize your state variable, which is use state. So, and also always remember too, when you're using hooks, that you always call it at the top level. You do not call hooks in loops, conditions, or inner functions. You always call hooks at the top level. And whenever you call hooks, it returns a pair. So when I say equal use state, and to initialize it, what we're going to do is we're going to use a number. We're going to initialize it with 0. And unlike in a class component, when you would initialize your state, you'll do it in an object. In hooks, you don't necessarily have to use an object. You can use primitive, string, number, boolean, arrays. You don't necessarily have to use an object, initialize, everything in an object. You can, but you don't have to. So in this instance, we're going to use a primitive number to do it. And like I said, hooks, use state returns a pair. So the first part of the pair is the value. So I'm going to just call it count. And then the second part is the function that will be able to update that value. So we're going to call it set count. Alright, so we have the set count, we have the count variable, and we have the set count function. And so right here we can go ahead and change this in our text where we have the 0 at. We can go ahead and change that to count. Alright, and it's basically going to reflect whatever this value is in here. Alright, so now what we have to do is I'm going to go ahead and let me run this too. So I'm using, like I said, the Android emulator, the Pixel. So I say expo start -- Android. Alright, and then I go ahead and let that get going. Let's see. Let that bundle get going and start it. Alright, so while that's doing that, and so what we're going to do next is, so we want to be able to update the button every time the button is pressed. So in our touchable opacity, button. All we have to do is just add an on press listener, and then we'll be able to set the new value of our count variable. Alright, so it's opening on the Android now. Okay, let's see, make sure it did it. Cool, we're good. Alright, so let me go ahead and create this on press listener. Alright, and we could create a function outside of it, but all it's doing is adding one, so we don't really have to do that. So what we want to do is set count. Spell it count. So we want to be able to take count plus 1. Alright, so go ahead and save that, let everything bundle back up. Alright, so let's test it. There we go. And there's hooks working in a functional component. So just a review over basically what we just did. We called the use state up here, imported it up here from React, and we came down here and called hooks at the top level, where we called our value count and the function that's going to be able to change our variable to set count, and we gave an initial value of 0. Now here, as you can see in this text, what we're doing is calling that count variable, and in our button here we got the on press method going, and all we're doing is setting count to count plus 1. Alright, so it's basically every time we press this button, it's adding 1 to count. So, and that's basically it for this intro to hooks. And like I said, it's going to be a series of videos, and we're going to go into more depth about using hooks in React Native. So stay tuned for more videos. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, just leave a comment. Try to help you. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you can be getting ready for more content to come. Thank you.